Fab Five. ASML, Lam Research, Tokyo Electron, Applied Materials, KLA Corp.
Importantly, just had an investor day last week, which we very briefly touched on over on Semi Insider, and we'll be talking about again before too long. Important stuff happening in metrology and process control.
Yeah, we've been beating the drum on fab equipment providers for some time now, ever since we started Chipstock Investor, in fact. These big companies, the Fab Five, as well as a lot of the smaller players, have been the topic of discussion for a lot of our semi-insiders because they have sold off pretty substantially in the last couple of months.
Yeah, that's to be expected. It's been a pretty epic year. If you remember this time last year, the talk surrounding these companies was that they were going to be facing imminent cyclical downturn. And that is very much not the case anymore. There is probably going to be a pretty significant heat up in revenue during the second half of 2026 in particular. That could sustain into 2027. And for the majority of the last couple of decades, a lot of the focus has been around lithography equipment for front-end wafer development. That's the actual development of silicon wafers that you always see people holding in lab bunny suits. But a lot of the shift in focus as of late is turning to advanced packaging. One of the 5 reasons we started Chipstock Investor in the first place almost 4 years ago.
And we're not talking about styrofoam packaging. We're going to focus a little bit on ASML. And you may not think of ASML first when we say advanced packaging. Really, they're the front-end wafer development leader in lithography. But they're trying to change that. They're also trying to dominate the advanced packaging market.
And of course, that will continue to be via lithography equipment, where they actually do have a number of competitors. So what we're now talking about with the packaging is not the wafers and not the dicing up of the wafers into chips, but the actual substrates that the chips get installed on. It could be interposers, it could be some of the substrates below that, including advanced panel developments happening in things like glass and other novel materials being used in that department. One of the companies we've discussed at length about this in the past is Onto Innovation. You can check out all our research on Onto Innovation and all the packaging equipment over on our website, chipstockinvestor.com, where you can get access to Semi Insider. Casey, besides Onto Innovation's litho tool, who else are we talking about here in this advanced packaging equipment market?
Lam Research is one of the companies that focuses on packaging equipment, especially etch and deposition of through silicon vias or TSVs. Or there's the other companies that work with attaching and bonding chips to chips, chips to wafers, or wafers to wafers. That's Applied Materials and their partnership with BESI. Currently, Applied Materials has a 10% stake in BESI, and there has been some rumors regarding some acquisitions of BESI with possibly Lam Research or Applied Materials. Some of the other players that we have listed there, Tokyo Electron, as we mentioned, that's part of the Fab Five, based out of Japan, and smaller companies, Kulik and Safa, and ASMPT. But what about the lithography companies that are involved in printing, quote unquote, power line and interconnect line shapes for the packaging processes? Here are those.
In true Applied Materials fashion, they have another partnership with a company in Japan. But let's discuss ASML here for just a moment. We did discuss this last year and then eventually made this into a public blog, but we think it's worth calling out again at this point because it does seem that ASML actually paid this part of the market some more attention. They announced that they did some updated work on one of their older technologies, the Twinscan systems, and they have a new iteration of that, the Twinscan XT 260. It's an iLine scanner, which is in semiconductor manufacturing kind of ancient technology at this point, but still very much a necessity for advanced packaging. 3D integration of chips, so vertical stacking of chips, and also just those chips getting smaller, are starting to demand more precision in the packaging itself than what has historically been the norm. Here is a quote from ASML's CEO, Christophe Fouquet from a couple of quarters ago about how revenue from that XT260 will begin to contribute to overall sales this year in 2026. But let's just take a moment here and talk about what exactly the innovation is with this new updated I-line lithography machine.
Well, one of the things that ASML has been working on is the challenges that arise from wafer warpage. And that's exactly how it sounds. Even though there's a slight amount of warpage, even it may be obviously imperceptible to the naked eye, it can mean a misalignment of those through silicon vias and other features when it comes time to stack chips upon chips or wafers upon wafers. And so ASML has made some changes to this ancient technology to help with that.
One thing specifically that they said that they did was they made a custom optical system to help increase the resolution of those advanced packaging features. They no doubt got some help from their partner, Carl Zeiss, on that. They also slapped a scanner system on this I-line machine versus the older stepper method technology. So in total, ASML boasts having a number of innovations that they think give them a leg up in specifically advanced packaging lithography that some of their competitors don't have available at this time. So the big question is, okay, we have advanced packaging, very much one of the critical elements in semiconductor manufacturing these days. How big of an impact is this new advanced packaging lithography machine actually going to have for ASML in 2026?
This product line is probably not going to be making a huge difference to the bottom line for ASML, at least not this year. If you remember, advanced packaging is only a small portion of the overall entire semiconductor industry market. However, we do truly believe that advanced packaging is going to be one of the next inflection points in semiconductor manufacturing. We really think that semiconductor manufacturing companies will definitely see some big changes this year, big improvements to the bottom line.
It very much is one of those next lowest hanging pieces of fruit as they look for ways to improve processes and improve ultimate semiconductor performance. It'll be interesting to see what happens with BESI, BE Semiconductor. Does it actually get acquired? Does it continue on independent with that partnership with Applied Materials? Stay tuned for that.
And make sure you check out Semi Insider over at chipstockinvestor.com. Until April 15th, you can get access to our Discord server. After that, it's closing to new members, so make sure you check it out. It's pretty great. And if you're looking for something to watch and you're still here with us, make sure you check out this video on Onto Innovation and their advanced packaging technique on glass substrates.